So, it's been a while. It's been about maybe a year or two since my last video. So obviously I haven't been very active, but this YouTube channel was never really a job for me. It was really more of a hobby, and so I was never really gonna be that active. So I suppose my channel got best known for its Skyrim videos, but at some point, I got bored with Skyrim, even though one of my videos somehow, I don't know how, reached several 100,000 views. Um, Still a mystery to me, but this was always just going to be a hobby. I've never monetized any of my videos, and I never intend to. So I sort of lost interest, and that was that. And so now we come 2 years later or so, and I decided to post a new video because I have something I want to talk about. Something that sort of came up recently. So the game I'm going to be talking about, obviously, is Black Desert. And there's sort of a controversy that's going on with Black Desert right now, where it's a game I've been interested in for several years. It was a game that we saw videos of it from Korea several years ago, and it looked absolutely gorgeous, and it looked different from anything else we'd seen at the time. And so ever since I saw those first videos, I sort of followed the news of this game as much as I could, found out sort of as much as I could about it. And we eventually found out that, hey, they were going to localize it and bring it here to the United States and bring it to Europe. And I was so excited, so happy that I would finally get the chance to play this game. And so now it's finally happening. The game is releasing on March 3rd. The second closed beta test just finished. And I played the beta test as much as I could, considering my busy schedule. Sort of wanted to experience the game, see whether it sort of lived up to my expectations, and I really enjoyed my time in it, and it's really radically different from most MMOs out there. It's an MMO the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time, and so I'm probably even more excited about it now after the beta than I was before. But this video isn't really about the things that make Black Desert good. This video is about the one thing that comes up over and over and over again when you see the recent posts of this game on any social media, whether that's Reddit or some games journalism website or on the Black Desert forums or whatever. The same thing keeps coming up over and over and over and over again. And it makes me a little bit upset because it's a distraction from everything the game has done right and done differently. So I want to talk about that a little bit, and I want to talk about sort of the biggest controversy with this game. So we're going to go ahead and log in, and we're going to talk about the game's cash shop, because it's the big sort of controversial thing about the game right now is that it has this cash shop, and people think it's abusive or pay to win or something like that, where it's just the cash shop ruins the game or something like that. And I think perhaps that the game is getting a bad and undeserved rap because of this whole cash shop issue. And so we're going to open up the cash shop, and we're going to take a look and sort of find out for ourselves whether this cash shop really is pay to win, whether they're selling power. And then the other thing we're going to talk about is the prices in the cash shop, because that's the other big complaint. People are saying that things in the cash shop are way too expensive. So let's talk about the game a little bit. So in Korea, Black Desert Online is a free-to-play game. You pay nothing to download it. You pay nothing to start playing it. The game sustains itself entirely on the cash shop. So they sort of had to take sort of an abusive model to it, where things in the character creator were locked out unless you paid money to the cash shop, and things you could buy in the cash shop could be sold on the marketplace to get in-game currency, and all these other things to try and sort of sustain the game. So when they were talking about localizing this game, they made the decision, and I think it was the correct one, to look at the North American, European markets and say, well, that's not really going to work there. The values of the players in the North American, European markets in a game like this are going to value fairness, and that we need to change the game and change our monetization strategy to sort of to capture the interest of those players. So the game is buy to play. You pay $30, $50, or $100 to get in. There's no subscription, but that initial $30 that you might pay for the game won't sustain the game forever. The game has maintenance costs. They want to develop new patches, and the $30 initial investment isn't going to sustain the game for very long. They won't be able to keep the servers up. They won't be able to continue developing content and new and interesting things for us to do. So they have to have a cash shop to keep the game alive long term. They need people spending money after the initial purchase. So we're going to start by looking at the currency and sort of get a context of prices in this game. So the microtransaction currency for this game is called pearls. And you'll notice that there's this yellow coin. So that yellow coin represents like real money. And for 1,000 coins is $10, and that'll buy you 1,000 pearl boxes. So if we're talking sort of money, like we're talking real money, one pearl is 1 cent. Now, obviously, if you can buy more than $10, and let's say you buy the one with 10,000 pearls in it, that's $100, but you get $15 extra. So the more money you spend at any given time, the more pearls you get. But for the sake of internet argument and to provide sort of a baseline, let's assume that we would only ever buy pearls in amounts of 1,000. This would be silly, because if you were actually playing the game and buying currency, I would buy one of the larger amounts and then budget my expenditures accordingly. But for the sake of this video, let's assume that one pearl is worth exactly 1 cent, just to make arguments easier and to talk about the game at a level that everyone can sort of understand. So we're taking sort of the most abusive option. Yeah, CBT2 closing in 20 minutes, whatever. So let's talk first about loyalties. So loyalty is something that you get as just for playing the game. You get 100 loyalty points a day just for like logging in and playing the game. And you can use that to buy items. So you can buy a character slot expansion. You can increase your weight limit, inventory expansion. You can do a partial skill reset. So there's a lot of things you can sort of buy here. So if you just play the game consistently, you'll get a number of things for free, and these things are sort of important. It's important to sort of see that these things are there, because they'll help contextualize some of the other things in the cash shop. But just keep in mind that the game is giving away a number of things for free: inventory expansions, character slots, partial skill respecs, die boxes, some minor XP boosts, some HP and MP increases that no one really care about, like 100 HP or 100 max MP is really nothing, and then a bunch of loyalty stuff that I don't know what it is. But basically the main ones are character slots, weight limit, inventory, partial skill respec, and those are like the big ones. So then we go to function, and we see that, oh look, there's the inventory expansions again, which we can now pay for in real cash. This is not loyalty cash anymore, this is pearls. So $8 will get you 8 inventory slots. You can pay less money to get less inventory slots, but the one to get would be the 8 slots for $8. But again, you can get this just by paying loyalty points to unlock inventory slots, and the game is generous outside of that. Just by questing, I got about 15 inventory expansions just from quests. Like the quest gave them to me. There's the weight limit increases as well. You can get that just by playing the game. You don't need to buy it from the cash shop, so don't. Character slot expansion, $6 per each. Again, you can get that through loyalties, but personally, I think it's totally reasonable to buy them with the pearls. There's the all combat skill reset. You can't get that through loyalties, but you could build up to one if you got it, if you sort of got enough loyalty points to get enough partial combat skill resets. But I think for a full reset, you sort of have to pay. But again, that's sort of standard for buy to play and free to play MMOs, is that respecs cost money. Most buy to play and free to play games do that. Awaken skill reset, I don't know what that is. There's storage increases, not a big deal. And you can revive immediately after dying by buying things. But again, you can get most of the stuff in here through the loyalty shop. So you don't need to spend a dime in this tab. You can just get it all for free by playing the game consistently. So there's nothing really abusive here yet. So let's move on to costumes. Costumes are sort of the big thing people are talking about a lot. So immediately we see that the prices on these are rather high. We're talking $22 for a costume set, $32 for a costume and weapon set, and these do come with stats. And this is where people say, well, hey, look, I can buy stats in this game, and this is really awful. This is pay to win, because I can buy gear with stats. But here's the thing: these costume pieces don't go in your main inventory slots; they go in special costume slots, and these costume pieces don't come with regular stats. They come with these sort of convenient stats that really don't do anything. So we're going to take a look at the burn costume set for a second, and we're going to have a look at like the stats that it has to offer, because I don't think the stats here are sort of unreasonable and are worth buying the costume for. So if we have a look, so the armor has an equip effect that decreases the death penalty by 10%. The helmet increases your vision range by 10 meters. This increases the amount of range on the minimap that you can see monsters. And then for the gloves, there's this amity gain. This is like a conversation option, 10% increase. Not really important. Not a big deal. And then for the last one, jump height increases by 0.5 meters. I've never noticed this. I've had no problems traversing the world with or without it. But the big one is the set effect. So if you equip all 4 of these, you get 10% extra experience points in combat. And this is the one that people really point to as saying, oh my god, look at this, the game is pay to win. Like you pay to get the equipment that increases how fast you level. Here's the problem with that argument though. According to current closed beta testers, it takes all of 14 hours to hit level 50. 14 hours. If you spend $22 on one of these armor sets, you are buying yourself out of an hour or 2 of leveling in this game. That's ridiculous. Like, that's not even an argument. Like, that's not pay to win. Oh no, this guy hit level 50 an hour faster than I did because he paid $22. You laugh at him for paying $22 for that advantage. Like, it's really nothing. And here's the thing, this 10% XP gain doesn't stack with anything. So there are scrolls in this game that give you 10% combat XP for like 10 minutes at a time and a couple of other ways to get this bonus. They don't stack with each other. So if you have the scroll and you have the armor, you just have the armor one, and the scroll buff is completely ignored. So it's not even that this 10% XP is only gained through the costumes. Like, you get it through other ways. So it's really not that big of a deal. The only reason to buy these costumes, really, is if you like the look. And it's not like you walk around unarmored in the game anyway. And it's not like the other bonuses you get are meaningful either. Jump height, amity gain, vision range, the death penalty stuff. Those are all nothing. Like, those are all completely unnoticeable and completely useless. They aren't even really bonuses. They might as well not exist. They don't really help you. They're minor conveniences at best. So this isn't really pay to win. You're not winning anything except an hour less time spent grinding monsters for XP in a game that if you go hardcore grinding for leveling and do nothing else, you're near max level in like in like 2 days worth of grinding. It's really not that bad. So yeah, I'm you know it, I to people who are sort of outside, they'll see that these costumes have stats and they'll be like, oh my god, the game is pay to win. Like, but these don't increase your damage. They don't increase your defense. They don't kill monsters for you. They don't do any of that. It's just 10% extra XP in a game where getting XP is no hardship at all. It's very easy. If you want to really get more XP faster, just improve your grinding methods. Like, that's way more effective than a paltry 10% XP gain. You can pay $10 extra to get weapons in addition to this. The weapon decreases the amount that your weapon's durability goes down by 10% and increases max stamina by 100. The max stamina by 100 is not much. You start out with 1,000 stamina, and every now and then you'll get an extra 25 just for walking around in the world. By the time you hit max level, like that plus 100 is nothing. Like it's a wash. Like you might be able to sprint a little bit farther or dodge occasionally, like in a situation where someone else wouldn't, but it's not really a big deal. The extra plus 100 stamina is not broken or overpowered. Then there's underwear. Underwear increases your luck by 1. The luck increases like item drop rates. There's a maximum luck of 5, and apparently you don't need to buy anything in this cash shop to cap out that luck at 5. So again, no need to spend any money there. So let's move on to furniture. Furniture is purely cosmetic stuff that you place in your house to make your house look pretty. There are packs that sell for $25, but each individual piece goes for like $2 to $5. Nothing really unreasonable here. It's all cosmetic fluff, and you can craft and buy furniture in game that is perfectly functional. This isn't the only place you get furniture. Like all this stuff has is just unique appearances. Like that's it. There's nothing really wrong there. So mounts is the other big one that people talk about. So we're going to start with horse armor. So horse armor does come with stats that affect your horse. So for equipping a full set, you get an extra 1% movement speed. Your horse gets, better turn rate, higher max HP, higher max stamina. But here's the thing: is that these stats, aren't really that meaningful or useful for your horse. Like an extra 300 horse hit points is nothing, especially considering that there is other horse armor in the game that you can craft or buy that comes with stats as well. Like this stuff is really meaningless and unimportant. It's not going to affect your ability or your power in any way, shape, or form. So the horse flute is another thing you have to buy in the cash shop. Again, the only reason you need this is if your horse, like if you lose track of your horse, you park him in the world and you forget where he is, and you walk away and it's like, oh, where did he go? You can use the horse to get him back. Just don't lose track of your horse and you're fine. The rest of it's just boat and wagon armor. No one really cares. The other big one people talk about is the horse breeding reset. So horse breeding is a big thing in this game where you can create higher tiers of horse by mating them, and you can only mate your horses some number of times before you sort of run out. And this lets you reset them once, but you can just get another horse and breed that one instead. So this one really isn't that big of a deal. Like, oh no, this guy paid money so he could breed his horses. He could reset his horse breeding timer once and only once. So let's move on to pets. So pets are almost purely vanity. Cats and dogs, they look cute, which is neat. But they do actually have some functionality. So they will pick up items from mobs that you kill for you, which is nice. It's a nice little convenience. But again, you can just pick up the items yourself. It's like having these things isn't really going to change the game for you at all. This isn't power. Beauty, you can change your appearance by entering your character back into the character creator. So there are 2 tokens here for, you can buy one-time token for $8 or the 30-day token for $10. Buy the 30-day token, it's a lot better. It's pretty awesome. You can just enter the character creator with any character on your account at any time within 30 days and change them at will. It's great. I wish more games had it. And lastly, we come to dies. So the die boxes are kind of crappy in that, like, if I buy a red die box, it'll give me a random red die. I don't get to pick the one I want. But again, I can, for loyalty points, I can just get an unknown die box in 2 days and open it, and I get it enough times and I'll get the die I want eventually. In terms of prices, these things are either 50 cents for 1 or $1.20 for 3. They're pretty cheap anyway. These aren't a big deal. These are purely cosmetic, and again, you can spend loyalty points to eventually get the die colors you want. So let's go back to price a little bit. So in terms of prices, I'm going to agree that the prices in this cash shop are a bit high. $22 for a costume set, $32 if you want the weapons with them it's pretty ridiculous, let's be honest. But here's the thing. The cash shop came in closed beta test 2, and they gave us $60 to play with during the beta. I mean, that $60 isn't going to stick around after the beta, it's going away. But, you know, they wanted us to actually test their store and get a sense of what we thought of it. And from that standpoint, the prices actually make a lot of sense. Because if you think about it, if they tried to charge, if they had the prices set to something sort of reasonable, like $10 or $15 for a costume set or whatever, and they got a bunch of feedback saying, oh, the prices are really low and cheap and it's great, they would be smacking themselves in the forehead, basically saying, well, we set the prices too cheap. Like we could have gotten more money out of this and lasted longer as a studio and been more profitable. And they wouldn't have the opportunity to raise the price without getting the community to you know, getting an uproar from the community that, oh my god, you raised the prices and this is horrible. So what they did is they set the prices in the cash shop to the highest number they would be willing to sell these items at, and then got our feedback. So the prices aren't going to get any higher than this, and after they hear our feedback, they have some number of days to figure out what they want to do with it. The feedback has been almost entirely negative about the prices in the cash shop from the people that are playing the game. People have yelled and screamed that $22 for a costume set or $32 for the costume set plus the weapons is way too expensive. And there's no way they haven't heard us. So the next step for them is to make it cheaper. And that's probably what they're going to do. I'm almost 100% certain that they're going to lower the prices in the cash shop because they got the feedback they needed. You know, they saw, okay, here's our sort of highest price we're willing to sell these for. Players didn't like it, so release time comes around, the prices are going to be lower, and we're all going to forget this basically happened. And this is the way it's supposed to go. This is the way they had to do it. You know, they had no other choice in regards to how they were going to, in regards to how they were going to set up these prices. So I think the concern that the prices in the cash shop for the closed beta were too high is totally valid and true. But I think when it comes time for the final game, first, you don't actually need any of these costumes. Your character has gear that changes as they level up and gets new gear, and you don't. And so if you know, the only reason to buy one of these costumes is if you really like the way it looks. Don't buy them for the plus 10% XP. That plus 10% XP is totally useless and meaningless. And eventually you're going to hit level cap anyway. It's not going to take you too long. And that plus 10% XP is going to sound mighty worthless once you hit level cap. So basically, it's not a big deal. Like, we made the noise we needed to make, and that's fine. And they've heard our message. The costumes are too expensive. So We'll see what they do with that feedback. I can't imagine they're going to leave the prices as is. And so they're going to get lowered. The bigger problem from my standpoint, though, is that this whole debate and this whole discussion about the cash shop is drowning out what the real messages about this game should be, which is that Black Desert Online is an MMO that is quite unlike anything else we've seen in a long time. Graphically, it is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. Like, it's by far the best looking MMO I've ever played, but it's also just a gorgeous looking game. It has an incredible trade system. It has, it has open world PvP and guild PvP and sieges and siege engines. It has horse taming. It has mounted combat. It has an incredible incredible combat system. Like, it has one of the best character creators I've ever seen. This game is doing so many things right, and they aren't a part of the conversation right now. Like, this isn't like WoW at all. This isn't like EverQuest. This isn't like any other MMO that's really on the market right now, except maybe ArcAge, maybe. And even then, ArcAge had a ton of its own problems. This game is so different and new and fresh and interesting that it would be wonderful if people were talking about it more. But the cash shop is what's dominating everyone's conversations about this game, and that's a shame, because we're missing sort of the bigger and better conversations we could be having about the game's interesting feature set and the idea that it's a virtual world. Rather than just an MMO, Black Desert set out to build a virtual world, which is not something we've seen in a long time. Anyway, beta's coming to a close, so I'm going to log out, and that's it. Thanks for listening if you lasted this long. I really wanted to get this off my chest. I don't know if I'm going to be posting videos regularly again. This is certainly my first sort of talking video that I've ever done, but, we'll see. I'll try my best to respond to your feedback. And thanks for listening, guys.